Hello, everyone. This is Ng Tran. I've decided to come out with my NDE story that happened to me in France, 2022. It was 4 years ago. I haven't been active socially at all since then. But at this time, I've really felt like coming out and sharing this story. It was like a rebirth process for me. It was like having a second chance in life, and with that also comes a lot of responsibilities. when you come back to a place that is ultimate love and intelligence and beauty and bliss. So I gone through first sessions of actually sitting down and sharing the entirety of my NDE experience. And that is in the workings, that is in progress, and it will be coming out soon on some of the NDE channels here on YouTube. So today I will, in preparation for all of these things coming out, I will be answering questions. I have questions and I will be answering them. And this is from the R Experiencers subreddit. And I'll see how much I will be able to jam all of this under 20 minutes. So you guys should subscribe and look out for the upcoming stories and talks and interviews where I will be sharing as well as answering many NDE questions to come. Are you ready? Let's go. All right, so the first question is, can I ask how long it took to flip through the book? So this refers to my life review. So my life review, I described it as having, let's say, an overview of every moment that happened in my life, from the moment of conception till the moment of death. And it was like flipping through pages of a book. Now, you can actually have a live review here as well, right? So you can have it in your mind's eye. So over there, it is in a way similar that you have the ability to flip through all the memories that you have of that life. I guess the only difference is that it was like I could see the stretched, like the entire timeline, which was very impressive. And then I could choose the moments that really stood out to kind of focus on that. But then the moments that stood out were more of the negative moments that were sort of unresolved. So you'll have to watch and see, when the entire NDE story comes out. It took some time, but it didn't take long, let's say. Spoiler alert, because I wasn't having it. It was not a pleasant experience for me. Are we living in a computer simulation? No. The answer is no. So I studied computer science, so I know exactly what you mean by computer simulation. And I would say this reality is not a simulation in a sense that it is not real. It is very real. And what we are experiencing right now is the collapsed version of all the possibilities based on our decisions and actions. And I think funny thing is that over there, when you get out of the body, like certain things happen there that were actually the simulate, like it was the simulation that I guess what you're talking about. Like being able to see possibilities and timelines, and also being, spoiler alert, offered certain experiences where you could step in. It felt very real, even more real than real, but it hasn't happened yet. So here, no, this is not a simulation. Over there, there are certain possibilities for you to experience this simulation. I think that might be a surprising answer. Okay. What was the answer to the question, did I consent to come into this life? Yeah, so there was like a nice debate, or question answers on experiencers. And I knew this, I knew that in the sphere of collective consciousness, unfortunately, it has come to the point where a lot of people are asking, did I consent to come here and play this game? Because truthfully, too much suffering, And pre-NDE, I had so many moments in my life where this was the question that I had. Like, did I really come here to do this? Because the reality was too painful, I would say. This is something that you should definitely watch and see, because the answer is yes. I did consent to come into this life the first time, and I did consent to come back into this life the second time. And it was very surprising to me that it was none of the sort of, signing a contract or anything like that. It was based on feelings, and it was based on what is, it is. Yeah. All right, next question. Well, did you consent to coming into this life, and did you set up the circumstances of it? Yeah, so I think I answered that already. And did I set up the circumstances of it? No. No. But I knew what I was getting into, let's just say that. Yeah, let's just say that. So then, what's the process of a soul's agreement? Could you please shed some light on this? What did you see? So what's the process of a soul's agreement? For me, coming in the first time and coming in the second time was more of a comeback. The process was different. But I guess what might be important to say here, because many of the questions kind of ask it in a way of again being sort of skeptical and thinking that there's a way to sort of push the soul to come here despite their free will of wanting to come here, or somehow deceive or coerce the soul to come here. The process, there is a process, and I think now we just have to leave it at that. All right, thank you so much for many responses. Regarding death, I wanted to ask, when we leave our earthly life, what do we experience? Is there an evolution as a soul outside of this life, or these lives of experimentations? Do we experience an evolution from one incarnation to the next? What kind of evolution is it? What is the meaning and the purpose? And what is the outcome of this evolution? Finally, if only Earth allows for deception, does that mean that evil or Satan exists only on Earth? Very good question. So evolution, yes. You evolve here as a soul, but you also evolve there. When you get completely out of this dimension and you come back to base, or at least that's what I call sort of a place where you have access to everything again, and then you have the choice to step in whatever universe and construct and game to evolve once again. Okay, the question, finally, if only Earth allows for deception, does that mean that evil or Satan exists only on Earth? Being here on Earth, being in the third dimension, so the lower you go when it comes to dimension, the more limited you become. And there's been souls, just like us, players, souls that have been very much focused on taking advantage of these limitations, let's say that. And I think over there, it was just really, really evident. Seeing, it was almost like, let's say, if an evil act was, I mean, we're talking about doing unimaginable things to children, to murder, to the Holocaust, to, let's say, collective crimes. And also on the other side, just things, on a daily basis, like just, let's say, small things like the really not nice things are being said within family context. So evil exists on a spectrum, and oh, this is a really hard question. It's hard for me to translate what I've seen there. But yeah, let's just say that every time an evil deed is being done here, it is like poking a hole inside this fabric of love and intelligence and consensus and beauty. And you leave a dent in it. And it is this dentation, and you can call it like a thought form, that pretty much lingers here, and it is passed on generation to generation in form of thought forms. So Satan exists in form of thought forms. That's what I saw. Practically, how do we stay connected to spirit when the human body and experience are so gripping? This is a fantastic question. So when you watch it, whatever is going to come out, you will hear me talking about this beautiful place where everything is connected, and yeah, I call it the sixth dimension. It's like where I could see everyone for who they really were, as well as what they want, like what kind of experiences they want to have in this life. And I saw the intelligence of all of it. It was like, if here, living here on Earth, it feels like nobody cares about you, nobody cares about your qualities, your strengths, or your weaknesses. Sometimes they care more about your weaknesses. And here, nobody wants to help you to get what you want. Over there, it was the opposite. It was as though you can say the spirit, the collective spirit, this algorithm, this place absolutely cared about who you are as a soul, your strengths, your weaknesses, what you want to achieve, and then everything was connected. So whoever I am, whatever I want, what cannot live in a bubble. It was like a small act that I would do would have an effect on the entire web. And we are all connected to that place. All of us. And you don't need to get out of the body. You don't need to have an NDE. You don't need to have, go on a DMT trip to be connected to it. You are. You will always be. So maybe what helps me is to remember how it felt like to be a child, because children are pretty much, they just sort of came out of this place and they're very, very sensitive, very connected to that. And then maybe as we grow older, it's not like we forget, but it's like we've been lied to and deceived, and a lot of gaslight that we doubt ourselves and we doubt our connection to that place. So you are connected to the spirit. That's the thing. Just remember that you are and you will always be. That's my answer. The soul within a twin flame or twin soul relationship that plan to stay, discarnate, panic, and incarnate in order to protect or support the incarnating soul when they saw what was about to happen. This is a bit hard for me to understand. I think I have a lot to say about what people call twin flames, twin souls, soulmates, basically. I think there's so much misconception about this. Like, maybe, okay, let's put it this way. Soulmate, right? We are souls and we have mates. And when you come out of this particular pocket universe, this construct, you will come back to this grand place where you will see yourself, your soul, as what it is, which is, billion years old and having had infinite amount of experiences. So in a way, when you are there, you'll see that we're all soulmates. We're all mates. We're all friends. And we know each other more than we think that we know each other here on Earth. But there are preferences, let's say. They are people, they are souls that have been, let's say, playing with each other more and connected more and have had more closer bond relationships throughout many lifetimes, that they also come here. And actually what I saw there when it comes to, being connected and soul connection, all of that was that every person has at least like dozens of soul connections. And we are truly more connected than we think we are. Let's leave it at that. See, last question. Can you describe the entity or entities you communicated with? Okay, so this was asked a lot in the our experiencer thread. So a lot of people were curious about having a guide or seeing loved ones. I did not have a guide. So as I was watching my live review, as I, went up dimension, I saw different possibilities and different timelines, and then up again, and saw this sort of place of, ultimate consensus reality of this collective consciousness. It felt very natural. Like every step of the way, it was as though I knew what was supposed to happen next. So I did not have a guide, though this is not a way to say that it was sort of a lonely, oh, I'm just a solo person here. Immediately as I got out of my body, I felt the most connected to this web that is humanity. And it was sort of being bathing in love. It was very, very pleasurable. It was love, universal love, unconditional love, connected love, integration. And I definitely did not feel alone. But as far as having a guide, no, I didn't have like some entity, showing me where to look at or what's going to happen. Yeah, so that's my answer. We can take a last question, can we? All right. What will happen to our financial system and how do I prepare? Money, right? So, look, prior to NDE, I, just like many, many people on earth, had a very, very difficult relationship with the financial system. Both, I mean, maybe practically it was okay, like it's just like a survival mechanism, but in spirit, it was very confusing for me to understand money, because it seemed like it was not aligned with the value that was created here, corrupted, let's say, right? So, yes, money is, in its highest form, it's basically a tool of consensus reality. But the way the financial system has been set up, and money and management of resources and energy and sharing, the wealth of the world with other people is absolutely like the opposite of being aligned. So it's like unaligned. It's like, it's distorted. It's not the intention of money as a tool of consensus amongst the collective. I do like decentralization. I don't want to go too deep into that, but the intention, I mean, that world has its own problems, but decentralization is actually very close, or at least the thought and the intention behind that is very close to what it is supposed to be when this is heaven on earth. So maybe that is sort of a spark that has been here for like 10, 20 years now, that could give us some hope. But in general, I still feel like there's a lot of corruption, and yeah, even for myself personally, I want to continue to talk about the topic of finance and money, but not just practical perspective, because we all know, currency and whatever, but what does it really mean, and the action behind people, sharing the collective wealth that is this construct, this earth, this beautiful place that we are all a part of. And I believe that's it. So in the next minutes, I should come in and maybe answer more questions.